Hi, Tommy D and behind the mic on Fabulous 103. When a business expands in the current economic climate, the owner's either got to be insane or convinced. And our guest this morning, I know we're going to find out whether he's insane or convinced. I'm not quite sure. Mark Stanton James, good morning.
Good morning, Tommy.
Now, Mark is the owner, along with his wife, of Sanook Park, which is a brand new park in the city. And you may never have heard of it, but there was a park before everybody knew as the Bungy Jump, and that was you. You were Mr. Bungy, weren't you?
That's right, yeah. Well, we've had the bungee for quite a while. And I guess to answer your first question, insanely convinced.
Insanely
convinced.
Because you've moved from slightly cramped conditions, but they were okay, where you had the bungee and you had the slingshot, both rides that you should do before you've had dinner, and you had the paintball and stuff like that. And you've moved about 500 metres down the road, just past the go-kart tracks.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the old place actually was pretty big. It's actually 18 rai of land down there. But a lot of it was fairly inaccessible.
It was very wet, wasn't it? It was very wet land.
Yeah. So, yes, we've moved 500 metres down the road. The land that we're on down there, it's on 65 rai. So it's an enormous bit of land. But really the big opportunity for us there is we've got a nearly 12 rai lake down there. So
was the lake there when you went there?
The lake has always been there.
Okay.
We've done, a few months of reshaping, levelling, and
So we've moved now from the mad rides, which was the bungee jump and the slingshot. Which, to be fair, I mean Megan's done that. She's got the guts to do it. I wouldn't dare do that. You kind of progressed because you're building. If I've got it right, you're building an amusement park. Well, it's not an entertainment park for families and for single people as well and couples, but free entry, which beats the water parks hands down. But you're putting in more and more activities than you ever had before.
It's an evolution. It's going to take a while. It's going to take several years before we kind of get towards the end of the dream, if you like. So
what is the dream?
What I want to do is create a large variety of things to do, largely for kids. I think the kids are a really important part of the market, and selfishly, I've got 2 young kids myself.
Right, and you come from a family of teaching background as well, so you've grown up around schools and things like that. You know what children like.
Exactly. So if we can put all of these things together, then we end up with a place that for families to come down is awesome fun. Loads of different things and loads of different experiences that the kids can get. When I say kids, that is right the way through to adults as well, because activities like the bungee jump, we're going to be adding a free fall bag jump and things.
What's a free fall bag jump? You're going to put people in a bag and drop them?
No, it's a little bit more crazy than that, to be honest. It's a bungee jump without a rope, is the short way of describing it.
How does that work?
It's from a little lower, so you'll be doing that from 12 metres in
right.
height, and you'll be free falling into a stump bag.
So you're convinced that, when do you think tourism is going to come back, first of all? Because your business, much as it's going to be entertaining for Thai tourists and also for expats, you're going to run out very quickly of new blood. When do you think we're going to see regular tourism again?
So that's the $1 million question that
you're gambling
everybody in the world would like answered.
This is the biggest gamble that anybody I know of has made.
Right. So if we look at the bungee jump and the slingshot, they're activities that you're only going to do once. They're bucket list.
That's the catch.
They're bucket list items.
That's the catch.
Whilst we enjoy having repeat customers, bungee jumping isn't.
You're not going to do it every week.
You don't do it every week. It's not that kind of sport.
And families will get bored with water parks because once you've done all the water flumes and you've done everything at the water park, it's very expensive to go, and B, you've done it. It's off the list.
So It depends. Okay, so with the bungee jump, right? Bungee jump and slingshot is a one-time activity.
Right.
You're not going to come back and do it. With moving to the new location, we end up with a much wider appeal. So the demographic that we get is much more inclusive.
Let's look at the water for a second.
Yeah.
You've got, if I'm right, you've got canoes
Yes.
and boats for
Yeah.
people to go in. You can swim.
Yes.
Okay. You've dumped a school bus in there
Indeed.
and a load of other junk
Yeah.
to encourage people to learn to dive,
Right.
which is a brilliant idea.
We wanted to be able to combine activities both on the water and under the water. Now, for on the water activities, there is nothing motorized of any description.
Right. Okay.
So that's important. That's important from a safety perspective, and it's also important from a pollution point of view. Now, under the water, we've tried to create the best environment we possibly could for people learning to dive, right the way through to people getting certified through the PADI scheme.
And you've actually got somebody there that can help them qualify to do that.
But we have 2 diving instructors. We have a Thai instructor and we have an English instructor.
Mhm.
And so, for example, you can do your PADI open water, start to finish down at the lake. You can obviously do your tri-dives. For 8-year-old kids, they can try with the Bubble Maker program.
What's a bubble maker program? Sorry.
Bubble Maker program is the introduction to scuba diving for the 8 to 10-year-olds.
And what does that involve?
So they learn how to put the equipment together. They learn the basics of what it's like breathing underwater. They'll do some of the skills like getting water out from your mask when your mask gets flooded. So it's really just an introduction for them. So you've got those under the water activities. For the more experienced divers, you can do your first wreck dive down there. So we've got a Bangkok bus, which we have cut out the sides, we've cut out the roof and things. So it's a nice light wreck for people
Any
to
passengers?
practice their skills. No passengers, but interesting enough, when we bought it, it did come fully taxed. I mean, it literally came off the Bangkok roads.
Right.
We stripped out the engine, sold the engine, and then cleaned it all up to make sure we weren't going to drop any oil in the water.
You're also you've moved the slingshot there already. That was a massive operation.
Yeah, slingshot has moved now. Yes.
And the next move is to move the bungee jump there.
Yeah, well, that's the last move. The last thing to move over is the bungee jump that will move over next month.
Right.
So on the water activities, we've got underwater. We've obviously got the diving and the training areas and things. One thing I should mention with the underwater stuff, what's interesting with scuba diving, it's a very personal experience. And that's nice if you're that person experiencing it. But when you come down with a friend, it's impossible for them to experience what you're feeling and what it was like.
Right.
Because all they get to see is a bunch of bubbles coming out of the water.
Right.
So what we've done, we've added underwater cameras that stream
Wow.
live back into the clubhouse.
So you can sit
you
and
can-
have a drink and have something to eat and watch underwater at the same time.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know, so it gives, you know, particularly for the parents that are down there,
Yes.
or for the wives that are down there, or the husbands that are down there watching their partners go in the water, they can actually be a bit more involved in it.
It's going to be a great thing, all parents, but specifically people who work or have worked in the diving industry, to see their kids doing it. That's got to be great. How big is the lake?
The lake is just under 12 rai in
That's
size.
a large lake.
The deepest part is 12 meters. Where the buses is about 7 meters. Where the pickup trucks and tuk-tuks are, it's about 5 meters. And that's kind of the average depth that we have there. But all of the dive centres in Pattaya are very welcome to come down and bring their students and use the facility as well.
Okay.
It's not something that we're just closing off to
Right.
us, because we see it as a way of getting more people within Pattaya involved in diving. So that's kind of the underwater stuff. Above the water, right now we've got stand-up paddleboards, we have kayaks, and we have some water play things. So the water play things at the moment, there's some floating trampolines, there's some inflatable toys and things. In the future, our next big piece will be to actually put the full water park in down at the lake.
What does that mean?
So the full water park is 60 meters by 43 meters. It consists of 60 different inflatable pieces, which gives you everything from trampolines to floating icebergs with a climbing wall on.
Right.
So there's a huge number of different pieces to that. That's something that we're working on, and that's something that we're aiming to put in later on this year.
And if I'm right, you're also looking at putting in a zip wire.
Yeah, so part of the overall plan is to link up each of the different activities and different areas in Milan with zip lines. Part of that will also be the high-low ropes course, which is an aerial assault course, the lower part of which is suitable for the youngest kids. The high part is suitable for adults.
Now, you've also got paintballing.
Yep.
Paintball fighting, you've got that. You're going to have to describe this. It's an inflatable football pitch.
Yeah, so the bubble football is kind of a fun one. It's a 20-meter by 12-meter inflatable football pitch. And you go in, you put a huge inflatable bubble over your body, comes down to about your chest, and you get to play football. And, of course, you can bounce into other people and you go flying and bouncing on the floor and things like that. So we got that piece. And then we also use the same thing for a bungee run. So with the bungee run, you wear a harness and you're attached to a bungee cord and you have to try and run along the inflatable football pitch as far as you can, try and get the prize. And when you fall over, you go slipping backwards.
Even now, already you've reached the stage where you've got so many different activities that there's going to be a genuine desire to come back and come back and come back, especially with families.
There's certainly what we're hoping. We've got, I think it's 8 activities at the moment, 8 or 9. Where the beach volleyball court is, we also, use that for kids' parties and things where they can do their sack races and that kind of stuff.
And there's no entrance fee?
No, you pay for each thing individually.
Right.
So, for example, to go for a swim or play on the inflatables, it's $100. If you want to do the bubble football, it's $100. So,
but mum and dad, if they go to watch their kids, mum and dad can go for free.
They can go for free, of course.
And sit there and have a coffee. And
the only thing we would say is, please don't bring your own food and drink down.
Oh no.
Which some people are inclined to do, but it's just kind of like, be fair with us.
Yeah.
We've got rent to pay as well.
Yeah, that's...
we don't want to be gouging people on price. It's expensive when you've got kids and you want to take them somewhere.
Tell me something, because I know you're an expert on these. Bungee jumps. Not that I would ever go on one. Basically, it's a crane. You lift the guy up, or the girl, in the case of the midget, up in the crane, and they jump out on an elastic band and boing, boing, boing. What is this? There's got to be a massive safety aspect involved in bungee jumps. How do you make sure that a bungee jump is safe? Is it one strand of rubber?
We use 3 different ropes. We use a green rope.
All connected at the same time?
No. So if you're between 40 and 60 kilos, you use a green rope.
Okay.
That's our thinnest rope. 60 to 80 kilos, you use a red rope, our medium rope. And if you are 80 to 100 kilos, then you use black rope.
Anybody over that can't jump?
Anyone over that, we then use a combination of ropes.
Lots of ropes.
So we either use the red and the green together or the black and the
So
red
there is
together.
a skill, there is a lot of skill involved in making sure that this is done safely.
There's absolutely massive amounts of science behind bungee jumping.
Because we hear, everybody goes, oh my God, no, they probably never check their rubbers and stuff like that. It's never not safe. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know, what's his name? The bar manager that went up when we had a special day there.
Mm-hmm.
He got halfway up and he just looked down and said, I'm not doing that. And he came all the way down again, bless him.
Yeah, and you
that
wouldn't
would be
want to
me.
do it if it wasn't scary, right? The idea is to get your heart pumping, to get that adrenaline rush. Now, from our point of view, it's to give people that rush, give them their adrenaline fix, but keeping them 100% safe.
That's the key thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important thing.
Safety record for your park?
Touch wood, 100%.
And previously at the bungee jump.
100%.
That's the most important thing. You've got coming up, we're coming up to Easter, the European Western Easter, and you've got some rather special deals. Just briefly tell us about them for kids, because everybody wants to know what to do with their kids when they're off school. And you've got some programs that go for 4 and 5 days for kids.
So we've got 3 weeks of programs down there. The first week, which starts on the 6th of April, that's geared towards the older kids. So they got to be over 10 years old for those. What they'll get during that week, it's 5 days, Monday through Friday. They will come out of that week as certified PADI junior open water divers.
Okay.
So that is something that they can take with them for the rest of their lives. We'll also be teaching them to use stand-up paddleboards. We'll be teaching them to use kayaks, and we'll also be having some fun with paintball, as well as some fun on the inflatables. So that's what we're doing the first week. The second week and the third week program, we're doing some different activities. There's a game that we play down there, which is Minecraft in real life.
Okay.
Which is an adaptation of the Minecraft computer game. But what we do is we use the idea behind that game to introduce the children to different activities.
Right.
We're going to be doing sessions on water safety and water awareness. One of the leading causes of death anywhere in the world for kids is water. So teaching them about water safety, wearing life jackets, how to behave around water, I think is an important.
Where's the fun in this? Tell me of the fun bits.
Fun bits for the kids. We're going to be doing making bows and arrows. We're doing rocket making.
Right.
We're doing the bouncy inflatables. And that's it. We're trying to get a balance where the kids actually learn something a little bit.
But also
they
have
fun. Right. Because
this is a cool
that's what they
idea.
want to do. And, I've always kind of worked on the basis with my own kids that, look, if they're having fun, it's a lot easier when you're a parent.
Oh, God's teeth, yeah. Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing for the Easter program. So that's that hopefully will be useful. We're only going to do it with 15 kids a week.
Okay, there's a maximum limit, 15
Yeah,
children.
I want to keep the numbers small because I want to make sure that we are doing the appropriate activities. And even within that 15, they'll be split up into age-appropriate groups as well.
So to find out more about these Easter specials, which sound fantastic for April, go to,
Just have a look on our Facebook page, Sanook Park.
Sanook Park,
Yeah.
Sanook Park.
Yeah, and of course, Sanook means
Fun,
Yeah.
which is what it's meant to be. And if you want to find Sanook Park, you know where the old bungee jump was, just off Teppersit Road.
Yep, Teppersit Soy 9.
Drive down Teppersit Soy 9, go past the go-kart place, and it's about 300 metres past there, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
On the left-hand side, plenty of parking, easy to get in, and nip in and have a look, see what your kids think. Mark Stanton-James, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Mic. And there you go. If you fancy a day out, or if you fancy going to find out all about it, Sanook Park is the place to be. Look them up on Facebook. And whatever you're doing, I'll see you again very soon. Take care.